Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the Parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the Parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV.
Hi, I am Dustin Pickering from Parrot Literary Corner. You know me, your noble and honest host, and I've got exciting news for you. Last anthology, Series 1, The Literary Parrot, did such a great job. We want to continue to provide this community service to our viewers and to our contributors to the program. So please get up and get a copy immediately. You know, if you're in this book, you want to get a copy. If you're not in the book, you want to get a copy and see what we're doing. You want to be excited with us. We want you on this program, and we hope to see you sometime soon on The Literary Parrot. You have to get your hands on this copy. It's amazing. It's an absolutely beautiful anthology meant just for you. Our past guests have been invited back to contribute yet again to this Series 2. We do this quarterly anthology. We will be doing this after our 200 episode milestone. As of this last quarter, we reached 200 episodes, and past that, get up and get a copy immediately. This is the only TV show. Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you. Hello, welcome to World Inkers Network. I am Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host. Today on episode number 249, we have Vicki Iorio, who is the author of the poetry collections, Poems from the Dirty Couch, Local Gems Press, Not Sorry from Alien Buddha Press, and the chapbooks Send Me a Letter from Dancing Girl Press, and Something Fishy from Finishing Line Press. Her poetry has appeared in numerous print and online journals, including The Painted Bride Quarterly, Rattle, and Poets Respond Online, the FemLit magazine, and the American Journal of Poetry. Vicki is currently living in Florida, but her heart is in New York. It's nice to meet you, Vicki. I hope you enjoyed the program today. And so how is life in Florida today?
Warmer today.
Warmer today, yeah. It's been a little bit cool outside lately. Yeah. So when you write your poetry, when you're sitting down, do you have a regular, time, or do you, just inspiration? How do you work usually?
Well, I usually work out on my Peloton in the morning, and while I'm working out, I think about poetry, and I get all sorts of ideas. Usually I zone out, and then I either write in the morning or late at night.
So there's a regular time.
Usually, yeah.
Routine, yeah. Do you ever just, do you skip that routine sometimes and just, sometimes the spirit isn't with you? What do you do when that happens?
Let's see. When I'm not writing, I try to submit. I submit to journals. I'm having a dry spell. But I'm in 2 workshops with my friends from New York. Unfortunately, I can Zoom. So we give each other prompts and ideas. So usually that keeps me going. Twice a month, I meet with these people, different groups. And then I have one in Florida now. So, I keep on pushing. Sometimes not so good, but I try.
So you're kind of like situated in 2 different locales. I mean, you're in New York and you're in Florida when you're writing your poetry. That's interesting. Yeah. What is your connection to New York? Did you ever visit there? I
lived there my whole life.
Oh, really? Okay.
A native Long Islander, Long Island,
Okay.
New York, and my sister lives in Florida, and I moved down to be with her for a while. So this is sort of a temporary.
Okay. So you
So
find the difference, the shift from place, maybe did that ever inspire your work at all? And
yes, yes,
interesting. I don't think
I
it did that.
noticed different locations
Hmm.
inspire me to write different things, which is sort of nice. It freshens
Right.
up my view, my world view of things. Yeah, it's sort of nice. I've been writing with some Florida poems.
Hmm.
Um, in this chapbook, Something Fishy, a lot of the poems are inspired by Florida, which was surprising, and hurricanes because we had them in Long
Hmm.
Island and here. So yeah, it's a watery book, and
Sounds like
I'm a
it. Something fishy.
yeah,
It
and
sounds like a watery book.
yeah, and we're a block from the ocean, so yeah,
Right.
I
So
get my
do you like
inspiration.
the ocean in Florida as compared to sort of the New York, Long Island
No,
area?
it's yeah, the water's warmer. Yeah, although
Okay.
I don't go in because there's too many sharks.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
it's dangerous.
scary. There's a
Yeah.
lot of jellyfish, but it's really nice just to walk on the beach. And it's the same, the Atlantic Ocean, so it's the same ocean, and the
Right.
sand is.
True.
You can ride a bike right on the sand here. It's really nice.
Oh, nice. Have you ever
Yeah.
tried to write on the beach while you're sitting there and just looking at maybe the
Um.
sunset or something and write on a poem on that?
Right. But as I'm working, the wheels are turning. That I get my inspiration. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Do you only write poetry, or have you ever written like any kind of
And
prose or any
mm,
fiction?
no, I would like to write a novel, but I only could write about one page and then I get bored. But when I was in college, I wrote for the school paper. I always wrote for the school papers, but I'm
Mhm.
basically a poet. So I guess that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think poets definitely work with more like a shorter span, a
Mm,
shorter attention span, I guess you could say. Like we're instantaneous. Like I write a poem and it's on the page, but when
yeah,
you get to novel writing, it's like it's a lengthy process that could take months just to
I
write a
yeah,
couple of
I've never
chapters.
never tried that. Anna
Mhm.
Quinlan, I saw her read once, and she said something about poet writing. Every word has to be important, as in not contrasting novels where you can have your ends, your buts, your
Mhm.
run-ons. So it's sort of like a different art form.
I read somewhere, somebody said that prose is like poetry, but it's like the poetry is couched within the prose rather than so much like the poetry. You're right about saying it's a very condensed art form.
Yeah,
It's like you want to keep all the words like sparse, where you say exactly what you're saying and get to the point. Really, you're not trying to tell a story. You're trying to hit the reader. So
every word has to matter. Every
So
word,
how do
every
you know when the
punctuation.
words matter versus when they don't matter?
Editing.
Yeah, editing's good. Do you have like a intuition about your poems?
I think so. Yeah. Um, I just wrote one poem and I wrote it one way and then I flipped it. I'm like, oh, I think the ending would be better at the beginning.
Hmm.
So, you play these games. It's almost like doing puzzles to me. It's like
Right.
jigsaw puzzles.
That's an interesting
You throw in
interesting
a word.
analogy.
Yeah. You throw in a word and you mix it up. And one thing about poetry, you don't really have to be grammatical. So it's fun.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's spontaneous and it's
Right.
it's enjoyable. It's something I think I find more pleasure in writing a poem than trying to write a story. Except sometimes my mind kind of like gears towards wanting to write a story. I have a plot in mind and
That's,
I
yeah.
start writing in it, and it works like a poem sometimes on a short story because I can just write it out and
Yeah.
it feels spontaneous, and the characters take a life of their
Oh,
own.
definitely. A lot of fiction. I read a lot of fiction and poetry, and some fiction is just poetry. I mean, the words are just gorgeous.
Hmm.
So
It's interesting how it can be like writing can be done so many different
yeah,
ways.
yeah,
It's a really versatile craft. I mean, you can write poetry, fiction, you can write academic. You can
right.
memoirs, you can do all kinds of stuff. So that's fascinating to me.
Um,
So when you're choosing a publisher, how do you go about it? I mean, you do some pretty good extensive research on what they've published and where
yeah,
they fit, and
word of mouth and whoever accepts me. You know, yeah, I submit a lot. I sort of, you get a feel from, what they want. You can read um, past journals, or now with the computer, everything's online, so you can just see what they like. And sometimes,
Right.
You go, oh yeah, I'd be perfect for this. Like, oh yeah, and then you submit and they don't want you. So maybe it's because they've already had writers that write like that. It's you don't know.
Be a mood too. I'm an
Right.
editor myself, and sometimes I turn things down. I'm
Right.
just not in the mood for it at the time.
Exactly. Like
Yeah,
you ever get a rejection at 3 a.m. and you're like, what are these people like? Why? Why did you like sleep on it?
right. Give it a few
know?
more hours.
And especially, I think I got a rejection New Year's Eve.
Oh wow,
morning. Yeah, like
that's a good time to
you
hit
have no
somebody.
life. Like what?
Aren't you watching the fireworks right now? What are you doing, buddy?
Hello. Of course, you're not in a good mood. Yeah, that's an interesting. I would like to be inside their mind sometime.
Yeah, I mean, as an editor myself, I know sometimes it's just you want to get the stuff out of the way, and some stuff strikes you a little harder at times than other things, and sometimes since you read so much, there's a lot of repetitions. You see the same styles, you see the same concepts, and you kind of want something unique and fresh. At least from my perspective, you want to publish something unique. I think a lot of editors, when they say in journals, when they say no simultaneous submissions or no repeat published work, they're looking for something fresh and something that they don't have to worry if you haven't reported back to the other publisher that you've submitted it elsewhere and that it's been accepted, and then it gets published twice. And, I've had that happen before. Yeah. It's an interesting experience to have to, explain to an author, or a poet, when they submit something and they submitted it somewhere else too, which I'm okay with when I'm editing. When I take it and they've already had it accepted somewhere else, and I have to kind of be like, okay, so I just remove it, or should I go ahead and publish it and credit the other publication?
A little dicey.
Yeah, it can be confusing.
But sometimes you submit, I'll submit someplace, I don't hear for 6 months.
Yeah, that happens too.
And then you submit someplace else, 3 weeks later, it's accepted. And sometimes I don't, my record keeping isn't the greatest. So sometimes things.
Gambling is what it is. It's you just throw the dice, and sometimes they hit the table and sometimes they fall off,
Well, it's so subjective. I'm reading Best American Poetry of last year. Tracy K. Smith's the editor, and I love, I must love what she loves, because every poem's a home run to me. And I've read past years, and if I don't like the poet that's picking the poems, I'm not that impressed with them. So it's so subjective.
Yeah, she's a good poet. I've read some of her work too. She's really excellent. There's a few out there now that are kind of rising to the top that are really really excellent. Laura Kosicki, I think, is one that I've read her book, Infinitesimals, and that's a really good one. And I find a lot of the poetry business or scene is like, I don't know who picks who gets famous and who doesn't.
It's like anything
I don't know
else.
what happens, how it works,
it's like anything else. I was in an anthology with Ocean Vuong. I read with him like years ago, and he was not known. And then, he's amazing. He wrote a memoir, and, I saw him at NYU, and I'm like, oh, I'm in an anthology with you. And he was so nice. But, he's like a superstar,
Right.
Good for him.
Yeah. I went to the New York City Poetry Festival maybe 3-4 years ago. I visited New York. I love that city. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I'm from Texas, and I went up there, and they had Dorothy Lau was one of the features. They had what's his name? Robert Pinsky was there. I didn't get to see Pinsky though, but I did see Dorothy Lau, or Dorianne Lau, I believe her name is.
Dorian Lax.
Yeah. Yeah, she was pretty good. She was a good performer. There was quite a good set there, a cast of characters in that reading.
You know, it's funny. I was just talking to someone. I said sometimes when you love a poet and you hear them read, it's like, oh God, they're like, you know.
Yeah, that happens. It does happen. They're not as exciting when you're face to face with them sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now, I'm from Long Island, and I live very close to the Walt Whitman house.
Okay.
It's called the Walt Whitman Birthplace, and you can tour his house, and then they built like a beautiful auditorium where all the poets read, and it's you feel like such a vibe. You feel like he's there. It's such a good feeling, and you know, we've had a lot of festivals, and a lot of famous authors come through. Matter of fact, I think I might be reading with Denise Duchamel, Zooming. And that's would be supported by Walt Whitman. I recommend that, and I love touring poet and authors' houses. To me, that's like such a trip. Me and my friend went to see Emily Dickinson's house in Amherst a couple of years ago. It's a vibe, you know. I mean, I don't know if I believe in ghosts and spirits, but when I'm in their houses, I do. It's like
right.
You know,
their presence is felt. You know,
yes,
it's been a lot of time it's invested there, I think, and it leaves a kind of impression somehow.
At her house, you can. I thought it was silly, but now I regret it. I think you can spend $140 and write in her bedroom.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so and for like an hour or so. It's a little weird, but
it is weird.
It's a little weird. But I mean,
a touristy thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's good because I guess the money goes to the house and everything. But you know, I really enjoy like going to authors' houses and all that stuff. I think that's good.
And so that actually encourages the magic of literature for you, rather than like diminishing it. Like like when we were just mentioning how being in front of an author sometimes sort of deflates the feeling, but going to an famous author's house, like say Edgar Allan Poe or Emily Dickinson or one of the major figures, it's like it's a totally different experience for you. Or
matter of fact, I haven't been there yet, but I know Poe. He lived in the Bronx, I think. Now it's a park, and you can visit where he lived there. So I have to put that on my to-do list.
Oh, excellent! Yeah.
It's
definitely, you don't want to miss Poe, and you only live once. You can't miss Poe. If you got Whitman and Dickinson already.
Oh yeah.
So who are some of your favorite contemporary writers that when you read them, they just strike you? You know that they get you wanting to work.
Well, I love Sharon Olds.
Okay.
Who doesn't? Denise Duhamel. Sylvia, of course, it all started with Sylvia Plath. But and he gets like a bad rap. When I was in, I think, junior high school, and I wrote poetry since I was like 11, but I loved Rod McEwen. And
I liked him when I was a teenager. I find him a little sappy now, though.
Yeah, but you know what? He really put me on a course. Like it was like, oh, I never wow, and I finally found my old books of his, and it's.
Famine Street and Other Sorrows. I read that religiously at 16.
Yeah.
And Ogden Nash was another one I read quite a bit when I was a kid. You know, I liked the humor, and I also read Hugh Prather, which it seems a little saccharine to me now, but I read him when I was a teenager, and I found him in a bookstore, and I just absorbed. He's a humanist poet, and he kind of has a sort of self-help kind of feel to some of his work, but it's something about it I liked at the time. I read a lot of that stuff back then. I like
Diane Seuss. She's very good. She's like really becoming a superstar now. She wrote a book on sonnets. And I have a friend, Deborah Hauser, who's a really good poet. And what we do is we'll pick a book of a poet, and then we'll go over each poem and send a blurb about it, a discussion. And that's really helpful. You know, it just, you point out stuff and gives you inspiration, or you say, oh, this is terrible. Like, how did they get this published? Which is okay too. We like to dish, but
I do the same thing when I'm reading online journals and stuff. I'm like, Like, how did this person even get noticed by this?
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes it's a bomb of a poem.
Or even a book. I mean,
Yeah.
I read bestseller, Mrs. M, and it got a lot of good press. And it was, I thought, oh, it's like,
Might be connections, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe some people just are really connected or really good at interpersonal stuff, and they get to moving the market. You know,
networking.
That seems like that's the main force of getting your work noticed and recognized, more so than the power of the work itself.
Yeah,
you know, from my impression.
And I'd also like to travel to bookstores, like Ann Patchett's bookstore, I think in Tennessee, Nashville. I think it's in Nashville. I'd like to do that. Louise Erdrich has a bookstore in Minnesota, I think. They're like writers, and yet they're really into the literary connection, which I think is terrific. That's another thing I'd like to do, like road trip of famous bookstores.
In
San Francisco, that would be
right. Fun. City Lights Books, you got to hit there if you haven't been there. Yeah, I've known a lot of people that have read and visited there.
Yeah.
One of my friends met Ferlin Getty, his birthday.
Yeah,
I think it was his 70th birthday.
Yeah.
It's definitely a journey.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic place. We're going to take a brief break. We'll come back and you can read a few of your poems for us, and we'll be ready for that. Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors. Hi, I am Dustin Pickering from Parrot Literary Corner. You know me, your noble and honest host, and I've got exciting news for you. Last anthology, Series 1, The Literary Parrot, did such a great job. We want to continue to provide this community service to our viewers and to our contributors to the program. So please get up and get a copy immediately. If you're in this book, you want to get a copy. If you're not in the book, you want to get a copy and see what we're doing. You want to be excited with us. We want you on this program, and we hope to see you sometime soon on The Literary Parrot. You have to get your hands on this copy. It's amazing. It's an absolutely beautiful anthology meant just for you. Our past guests have been invited back to contribute yet again to this Series 2. We do this quarterly anthology. We will be doing this after our 200 episode milestone. As of this last quarter, we reached 200 episodes, and past that, get up and get a copy immediately. This is the only TV show on earth for creative writers, and our guests are amazing. They're also community activists building from the ground up. This program is for everybody out there who is a creative mind. Order several copies if you can and donate to local libraries. Give them to your friends, cousins, fans, supporters, anybody that you think loves poetry. And it's not just poetry in this book. Remember, this is creative mind. So we have prose, fiction, short stories, essays, artwork, anything you can think of, artistically creative, photographs.
I'm at that age where I appreciate every sunrise, sunset, and all the hours in between. The age that causes me to notice the rhythmic timing of each breath. A reminder to thank God for granting me another day. I'm at that age where joints begin to stiffen, and maybe I don't move as fluently as I did at 22. But I'm also at that age where I realize many didn't even get to see today. So I pray on bent and aching knee, thank you, God, for blessing me. I'm at that age where I notice my kids making some of the same mistakes that I did. And I remind myself that although never easy, I made it through, and so will they. I'm at that age where I understand that money never buys true happiness. But I'm also at that age where I understand it definitely does help to have a bit. I'm at that age where six-pack abs still attract. But I'm also at that age where the behavior of a true gentleman will stop me in my tracks. I'm at that age where I know what it means to be a woman alone with how to treat my man. Beginning with listening as he explains what he needs from me. You see, there may be many similarities, but all men are not the same. I'm at that age where I realize good things don't come to those who wait. They go to those who educate, plan, sacrifice, work, and repeat over and over and over again. I'm at that age where I appreciate spending time with family, whether we're on good terms or not. Because I'm at that age where I'm losing so many people that I care about. I'm at that age where I'm bearing down on that age where there are more chapters of my life in past instead of future tense. But I'm at that age where I refuse to give up. I continue to climb, to create, to improve, love, and share, bearing my soul to the universe while honoring my ancestors, my God, and myself, while becoming the best version of me possible, because I'm at that age.
Welcome back to World Anchors Network, and I'm Dustin Pickering. Thank you, Dion Hunter, for that wonderful spoken word performance. And we have Vicki Iorio today, and I want to thank Carl Schwarth for connecting me with Vicki.
Yes.
So we have a couple of poems from you, if you would like to read those.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll read two from Something Fishy. The first one actually is based on an Emily Dickinson line. She had a line, because I keep a mermaid in the basement. Who knows? So this is my poem. A keeper. I didn't see a mermaid when I went there.
Okay.
A keeper. Because I keep a mermaid in the basement, I wash her delicate sequined pink bra in the bathroom sink, gingerly scrub around her clamshells with a soft toothbrush fresh out of its wrapper. Because I keep a mermaid in the basement, I have not done the work left me by a hurricane. She is a blue flame phosphorescence, illuminating the basement in ways electricity never could. Because I keep a mermaid in the basement, I tell my nosy neighbors I am still waiting for FEMA when they ask about the standing water and the flickering lights. Because I have named the mermaid in my basement Jane Mansfield, I have to rethink my sexuality. Jane flips me her dorsal fin, swims deep, and reads drowned books, learning the language they teach her. I tell her I will buy a wetsuit and take her back to the midnight ocean.
Thank you. Excellent.
So what happened is these are basically about Hurricane Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
My house on Long Island was like totally destroyed.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I had fish in my basement.
Mm.
So
maybe a mermaid, we never know.
yeah, right. But when after it happened, the only people you wanted to see were plumbers and electricians. So I wrote this. Next time around. Because no one needs a poet in a hurricane, I am coming back as a plumber. Everyone will want a piece of me when I arrive at your destruction in a spotless white panel truck armed with a shining toolkit. I will snake out your overflow, auger your inner core, unclog your fears. As I crouch in ass crack stance, replacing your ball cock. My perfect schism, be ribboned in a metallic thong, will make you hopeful. After I dredge the basement, remove fish, I will install red hot nipples on your gas line. Unpeel when I am done. Take a hot shower. Consider my invoice, my magnum opus, next time around.
Very sensual and erotic, but it's I think, the idea that, you have your home demolished and you have to have it repaired, and then come what would be like a caregiver role of the electricians and the plumbers fixing things, and gives you a little hope and stamina kind of thing,
Oh, I mean, and if you notice, like, a lot of plumbing terms are pretty sexy. Like you said, I'm gonna put the red hot nipples on. I'm like, oh, okay. I never heard these. And then, if you go to a plumbing supply, it's all these like weird. So that definitely is a poem,
Yeah, that was definitely interesting work. You employed some of the symbolism there pretty well.
So should I go on, or
you can read another one?
Okay. All right. So this was inspired by walking on the beach here in New Smyrna Beach. Beach marker 414. The lifeguards have, every lifeguard stand has a number. My sister still bikini rocks it. I use tattoos as a distraction. We drink painkillers at Joe's Bar and Grill. Island lesbians are fashion forward in sports bras and boxers. Someone who looks like my spin instructor is playing beach volleyball. Her diamond studs a singular sun. I want to lick the salt around her earlobes. A purple flag designates marine life. All life is dangerous, a hazardous waste. Driving to New Hampshire in my winter, I pass a town on I-91 called Hazardville. I should just stop driving and plant my tentacles there. Physalia, a man of war, blue bottle floating terror. Asexual killers of fry are toxic. Cancer made my sister a widow. My rack and pinion has lost its swivel. I no longer drive on the beach. Wear flip-flops on the purple days.
That's full of a lot of interesting phrasing and imagery.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I used to my daughter went to Dartmouth, so I used to drive a lot to through New England. And I just want to stay in a hotel in like near Dartmouth and just write for like 6 months. Just when the snow is high, just leave me there.
that would be an interesting experience. It sounds like, really kind of comforting, and if this, you're surrounded by the flurries and stuff, but you're like
isolated in the cold.
Insulated too.
A lot of authors have done that. I think
it'd be interesting.
Yeah. So I know a playwright, a woman, I'm not sure what she wrote. I forgot her name, but she did that. She stayed in the Hanover Inn, which is like a fabulous place, and she just did her play and wrote it. And I mean, it sounds so great. I want to. Now I have another friend who there's an Amtrak. You can pay and you can write on the Amtrak. There's like I'm not sure if they have it anymore with COVID. Everything's different.
Right.
But I know you can take a 4-hour trip and just like write.
Wow, fascinating. So as a confessional poet, what do you think the relationship between an artist and their art is?
Oh, I don't know. Am I a confessional poet? I guess so.
A little bit of a confessional vibe there.
I have an open book. Oh, sorry. Let me get rid of this.
Telephones.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, what was the question? Art and
what is the relationship do you find between the artist and the art as a poet, in a sort of a confessional vein? Because some of those they're really kind of confessional, and at the same time there's a little bit of a the poetics in there, and I feel like I get a confessional vibe mostly from you and in those poems you've read, and I'm just curious how you think the art and the artist relate.
Well, not really. I'm not really skilled in poetics. I take courses, and I'm always intimidated by people that know much more than me. So I guess it's more, for me, it's more of the gut. It's more in my gut, the art. And I don't plan to write an ode like with the line structures, or it has to come from the gut, and then I hope to hone it and to make it more poetic. So
okay.
To me,
So
it's almost like
instinctively,
right,
intuitively, kind of,
exactly.
Right.
Right.
So, what would your final words to our viewers today be?
Well, thank you for giving me this time, and I hope you enjoyed my poems. And can people see this? My friends,
it's live right now. Actually, it's live, and it's going to be on YouTube as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was great. So maybe we'll get together another time.
All right, sounds like a plan. Would you like to share some thank yous or words of appreciation for anybody, family, friends, supporters?
No.
You're actually, I think, the first person who said no, I don't have any thank yous. That's interesting. Maybe just thank you to Carl Schwartz.
Yes, thank you for Carl. I don't actually know him.
Right.
I think we were at a reading together, and then we tried to have like a writing group, and it didn't work out. But he hooked me up. All right, so thank you to Carl. But it's.
I'll thank Carl too myself, because we're looking for viewers and readers, and constantly people to be guests on the program. So it's good to have you on the program.
Okay, well, I hope I didn't disappoint.
No, it was very entertaining. I think we had a few viewers watching, so that was really great.
Okay, all right. I hope I didn't insult anybody.
If you did, maybe they deserved it.
That's right.
Don Bucas says hard hitting and raw about your poetry today.
All right, that's what we like. Yeah,
that's what we want to hear. Thank you, Don, for your wonderful.
I'll thank Don. Thank you, Don.
Here, thank you, Don. That's an excellent thing to say about a poem. Is like you want your poetry to be.
Yeah.
If you're going right from the gut, you want it to just bam, just hit the reader.
Somebody said to me, and I thought it was a great comment, the female Bukowski. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
That's a good compliment. Yeah, that is excellent compliment, because he writes very much from the gut, and he has that kind of ironic sense of humor that's charming in his work. It's sort of like, in a way, he's like angry at life, but he's like couching it within a sense of humor that's like just so ethereal in a way. It's like I don't know how to explain it. He's funny. He can be really funny, and at the same time you get a sense of the anger and the frustration.
And I know I wrote a poem. I am Allen Ginsberg's daughter, and somebody said to me, "Are you really his daughter?" I said, "No." Okay.
Maybe there's a heritage there somewhere that we don't know.
I'll do a genealogy test. I'm Jewish. What do I know?
Oh, well, maybe there is. I mean,
who knows?
It could be any number of connections that you're not aware of. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, right. Those
excellent.
Are crazy things. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you, Vicki. It's been really pleasant talking with you. This has been World Inkers Network, and we had Vicki Iorio on the program today. This has been episode 249. If you enjoyed the programming and missed the first part, get back and watch it again. It's an excellent, interesting, thought-provoking interview, and so I hope you enjoy watching it. And you can support us financially with paypal.me/nyparrot. If you guys out there have a little extra money and you want to donate to the program, keep us going and alive and well, we want to keep this as open as possible to all people, and we need some finances for that. So paypal.me/nyparrot. If you want to be a guest on the program, we'd love to have you. Don't be shy. I know writers tend to be shy, but we want to have you on the program, where we're looking for writers, musicians, artists, actors, all kinds of people, to be on this program. So you can get in touch with me, Dustin Pickering, at literary corner@newyorkparrot.com. That's send a bio, a headshot, and a couple of samples of your work, and I'll get you on this program as soon as I can get an open space for you. We do this daily. Just remember that we need artists and all kinds of creative people to interview. So thank you so much, Vicki, again, and thanks to Carl. And thanks to all you viewers out there. Subscribe to the channel. We want to see you subscribe, like, share, and comment. We definitely want to hear what you have to say about today's program. So when you're on YouTube watching this, or if you're watching this right now, give us a like. Tell us what you think. We want to hear from you. So thank you so much again for all the viewers. And thank you, Vicki, and everybody out there. If you're not in the spirit of writing today, it's a little bit of a dreary day. Just sit down and jot some thoughts out. Jot your thoughts out. What did you do today? Sit down and write what you did today. Anything. So get to writing. Have a great afternoon.
Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the Parrot. Parrot TV.